Awesome. Welcome everybody. Okay, so just quickly, just to introductions and greetings aside here, drop a location in the chat where you're kind of joining the webinar from today, and if you guys are having a good week. Where's everyone from? We're gonna get started in a few minutes here. All right. Wow, we've got across the globe already. One Orlando, South Africa, UK. We got all corners of the world today. Awesome. India, Michigan. Wow. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So I'm just gonna dive right into it. So today's presentation, today's class, okay, and basically the topic of the webinar today, as you can see on the screen, is basically how to use prop firms to make $200 to $400 per day trading futures. So just quickly, let me know, kind of give a feel for the room here. How many of you are already trading futures or have dabbled in trading futures right now? Put a one in the chat or a yes in the chat. Okay. So this is probably something a little bit of a newer topic, right? If you are trading futures, are you having success with futures? And would you like to be able to maybe have a little bit more success, right? Would you like to be able to see your win rate go up? Would you like to be able to see, your trade setups work out a little bit more often? So hopefully by the end of this class, I'll be able to show you how to do that using our strategy, right? Because there are some good things that are happening with the group right now and what we're using, and a lot of our members also are having success with it. So that's what I'm going to present to you guys today. All right. So uh, all right, some of you are learning to trade futures. Great. So this is a nice introduction to futures and what it can do for you. So let's get started. We're going to go on to the next slide here. Let me get me. So you guys can see my screen here. Hold on one second. Can you guys see this moving around on the screen here? My little laser pointer. Okay, good stuff. All right, so let's get started here. All right, so you might be asking yourself, all right, why use prop firms? Okay, so it's a good question, right? It's a valid question. So basically, the most obvious answer, okay, is you have to look at the costs versus the benefits. And using prop firms is definitely going to be more cost efficient. Okay, and what I mean by that is that you're not risking your own capital, right? Basically, you don't have to risk any of your own money. You're only risking the cost of purchasing the account, right? The challenge account or the performance account. Okay. I will suggest the prop firms that I'm currently using, right? So you guys will have an idea of what to use and also how to get started. But just in the future space, okay, the typical 50K evaluation is going to cost somewhere around $100 or less. Okay, usually, right? That's just kind of a ballpark figure, right? Some are much less, some are around that figure, right? But typically, it's going to be around that cost. Okay, so obviously what I mean by more cost efficient is you're not risking your own capital, right? So you're not putting up your own money. You're just basically paying for the cost of the challenge, right? And what you get with that is that you get a much larger capital to trade with. Obviously 50K is a lot of money. And if you're able to save up that amount, right, to trade with, okay, it might take you some time to do that. Some of you might be more capable than others in that regard, okay, but you have basically a larger capital to trade with. So in essence, what you have is you have a low risk, right? And you have a much higher reward in this case, right? So because you're just basically risking the cost of the challenge, and then you're able to trade with a 50K account, the leverage of a 50K account, right? So typically, what you can expect with the numbers, that I said, $200 and $400 per day, a typical payout may be something between 2K, right, or 4K per month. So, how did I get to that number? Well, basically, if you take $200 or $400 per day, And we have in a trading month, calendar month, we have about 20 trading days. Okay. So now we're not going to expect, to win every single day. Right. So let's just kind of ballpark it. And let's just say we win only half of those days. Right. Let's say 10 days out of the month we win. And so if we make $200 to $400 on those 10 days per month, then we have a typical month of about $2,000 to $4,000 in income. Right. And so that is just with one account. Another benefit to having, trading with the prop firms is that you can actually scale your profits because you can actually stack your accounts, right? And the firm that I'm trading with right now, which is called Apex Trader Funding, they have a maximum of 20 PA accounts or performance accounts that you can trade, okay, or funded accounts. So, if you think about, you can just do the math there, right? One account gives you 2K to 4K per month, right? On 20 accounts, you're looking at around 40K or 80K per month potential, right? Now, obviously, those are very inflated numbers, and obviously, it's probably very unlikely we reach those kinds of amounts very anytime soon, right? But the baseline is there, right? There's still definitely a very good chance of a good income per month, even just with a few accounts, right? Not up to 20, but let's say 2 accounts, 3 accounts, 5 accounts, you can still make a pretty nice income just trading and making $200 to $400 a day, right? And I'm going to show you how that's possible with the strategy that we have been using in the group here in just a moment, right? Another thing about trading, or why we should use prop firms, is that they have kind of a little bit more strict limitations, right? And that in turn makes you more of a disciplined trader. So what do I mean by that? If you were to use your own money to trade, okay, you might trade a little bit more loosely, right? Let's just say you might risk a little bit more, you might take a little bit more aggressive trades, okay? But with a prop firm, they have very strict rules in terms of how much you can lose per day, how much you can lose total, and how much you can, leverage, right? And so this basically, it forces you to have a solid risk management plan when you trade with them, and it also prevents you from over trading and over leveraging, right? And majority of the people that fail these challenges, okay, and that's a pretty high amount, right? The majority of them that are trading these challenges are failing because they don't have a solid risk management plan, right? Maybe their trading plan that they're used to is not very good, and also they're most likely over trading and over leveraging their account positions, right? So trading with a prop firm basically forces you to become more disciplined and forces you to become a better trader, right? Now, on the flip side of that, I know, that the reason they do that also is because of the business model, right? And why prop firms make their money is because they are expecting you to basically fail. So what we want to do is we want to basically take advantage of that, and we want to, become, we'll have a solid risk management plan, right? And become, more disciplined, and be one of the few that actually do end up passing the challenges and getting payouts, right? And with the strategy that I'm going to show you, that's going to be possible, right? And I'm going to show you that in a second, but I'm going to take you over to the Apex Trader Funding page right here. So this is their homepage, and the reason why I'm recommending these guys to you is because they've been around for a long time, and in the industry right now, I suspect that they are the ones that have paid out the most, or at least in the top, 3 of payouts, right? You can see here the average compensation since January 2023, total compensation since 2022, and also the last 90 days. Okay, they've paid out a lot of money. So, they are paying out basically. One of the things with trading a prop firm is you want to make sure that these guys pay out, right? You want to make sure that you're getting your money. If you're trading well and you're doing well, you want to be rewarded for it. Okay. And these guys do pay out. So right now they have a offer going on, which is basically 80% off their evaluations. Okay. And these are, if you scroll down the page here, you can see like the different options of the accounts that you can purchase. Okay. Now I would recommend going with a 50K account. Okay. There are higher amounts that you can purchase. Okay. But for me, I believe that with the ability to stack the accounts and have multiple accounts, the 50K account is the perfect balance of basically the difficulty level, right? It's a lot easier to trade and pass a 50K than it is, say, like 150K or like a 300K account because of the profit targets, right? And also the cost as well, right? So basically what happens is when you purchase a 50K evaluation, right, you're going to, they're going to see if you can hit a profit target of $3,000 before you hit the drawdown of 2,500. So they want to see if you can trade and make 3,000 before you lose 2,500, right? And that's going to show them that you are, at least somewhat profitable. So if you can do that, right, basically the cost for that is going to be $167 a month. But if you remember on the previous page, they were having a discount, right, of 80% off. So with that 80% discount, that 167 drops down to about $33 a month. Okay. And so if you compare that to, like a Forex, prop firm, like say FTMO, right? Because FTMO probably is the gold standard right now in Forex prop firms. A 50K account with them is typically going to cost around $360, okay, in comparison. So if you compare $360 versus, $33, okay, and the difference obviously is that this is monthly. But even if you factor that in, I would have to fail, 10 months in a row before I even came close to paying the full cost of a Forex FTMO 50K account, prop account, right? And the difference also is that if I fail and I pay another $33, I'm getting basically a clean reset, right? If I fail an FTMO account for 50K, I lose that $360. And if I want to reset it, I have to pay another $360 to start a brand new account, right? So when I say cost efficiency, that's what I mean, is that you get more bang for your buck trading these futures prop firms, right? Because the cost is so cheap. All right. So if you guys are interested in checking them out, there will be a link below, or actually I can put it in the chat in a little bit. Okay. But that is, these guys are who I recommend. Okay. Now, obviously there are other prop firms out there that are also good. But like I said, for the cost and for the ability to stack, up to 20 accounts, I feel like these guys give you the best value for your money. All right. And so just this past week, all right, just so you guys can get an idea for myself, right, I was able to get funded on 5 of their accounts. Okay. So you can see the date here is the 9th of December. So it was just last week. And I was able to pass 5 of their accounts. What's good about their accounts is that they have a copy trading function so that you can basically take trades on one account and you can copy it on all of the subsequent accounts that you have, so that you're basically just trading one account, right? You're not looking to take, 5 different trades on 5 different accounts, right? Or 20 different trades on 20 different accounts, because that would be crazy. But you're able to do that and manage, a lot of accounts at one time, right? So if we take the earlier numbers that I discussed about the income, right, we're looking at, in this case, a profit potential of around 10 to 20K per month just on 5 accounts, right? And so, the scaling there is, it's the opportunity is huge. Okay. And so I'm going to show you guys how to do this, okay, with the strategy that we're using, because right now, like I said, there's a lot of people that are having some success with it, right? And myself included, obviously, right? So I'm going to talk about the strategy that we're using and what it is that we're doing to get these payouts. All right. So strategy, the breakdown. Okay. So the one thing that you need, basically is going to be a winning strategy. Okay. And if you don't have a winning strategy, right, and then nothing else matters, because you're not going to be passing the challenges, right? So this is, in my opinion, this is a very easy strategy to follow. Okay. There's very simple rules. Okay. And because we're trading futures, obviously we're going to be looking at specific markets. So I look at the NASDAQ, and I also look at the S&P 500, right? I mainly trade the NASDAQ, and I use the S&P 500 for correlation, but there are some times where I will take S&P trades when I don't see a clear setup on NASDAQ, right? So looking at, the overall picture, what we always start with is a top-down analysis, right? So the important timeframes that you're going to be looking at is you need to have a overall higher time frame bias, right? So basically a daily or an H4, okay, that's going to give you an overall market direction that you want to be trading, okay? You're going to save yourself a lot of headache just by trading along with the higher time frame bias and just choosing that one direction versus trying to trade both directions or trying to trade, both ways. Okay. Once you have that in place, what you're going to do is you're going to drop down to like an intermediate time frame. So this could be like an H1, M30, M15, something like that, right? And you're going to identify what we call liquidity zones, right? So basically where areas of liquidity where price is going to draw to, right? And then those areas are going to, you're going to watch for reactions, and then you're going to look on the lower time frames like an M5 or an M1 for your setup and for your entry confirmations. All right. Now, because this is futures and it's because it's NASDAQ, we basically, the ideal times that we're looking for to trade are going to be the New York session, New York open, which is 9:30 a.m. to about 11 a.m. And then also the London close session, which is from 11 to around 1, sometimes maybe even 2 o'clock if it extends later in the day. But there are some setups that occur, late in the afternoon as well. So that is kind of included in that time. So essentially, you're looking at about 1 to 2 hours a day around those session times that you're really looking for your setups. Okay, so plan your trade, right? And trade your plan. I'm sure you heard that many times before. And so what that means is basically that you've got to have a plan when you sit down and you trade for the day. You want to have a clear idea of the direction that you want price to go, right? And so pre-market, prior to the 9:30 open, you want to have the daily bias determined, right? Before you even sit down. So are we bullish on the day? Are we bearish on the day? So are we looking for buys or sells? Once you have a clear direction that you have, on the higher time frame, then you know what you can look for on the lower time frames, and it makes things a lot easier, right? So like I said, it's going to save you a lot of headache if you just trade in the higher time frame direction. Right. Next, we're going to do is we're going to identify those key liquidity zones, right? And so what we call the magic lines. Basically, what they are is, liquidity areas that price is going to draw to on the chart. So that would be, for example, like previous week high, previous week low, right? Previous daily high, previous daily low, or like Asia range highs and Asia range lows, right? And so we would identify them with lines on the chart. Okay, and you basically watch as price gets to those areas and then watch for the reaction. We're also going to be identifying discount and premium POIs. So we're going to be looking at things like order blocks and imbalances that also coincide with those liquidity zones, those magic lines. And if they have, an overlapping confluence, it's usually a much better setup, right? Or a much stronger confirmation. So on a chart, it's going to look something like this. Okay, so I've got my Asian session here, right? I've got my Asian range high and low lines across the screen here. I've got my previous day's highs, lines across the screen. I got previous week highs. Okay, and then I also mark, significant imbalances and order blocks on the chart inside of the respective areas. So for instance, here on the higher time frame, I'm bullish, right? And I'm going to be looking for price to go higher in this case. So I have discount areas here marked with the imbalance and with the gap here, right? And so I'm going to be expecting price to come back into the zones here and bounce, or maybe bounce here because we've already broken through a level. So these areas will be my key areas of liquidity, and I'll be watching as price comes down to those areas after the market open, which is this line right here. Okay, you can see right down the middle here at 9:30 a.m. And these are all in New York time. That's when the market opens, and then we would look to see if price will give us a setup after that market opening volume. Okay, so the entry setup is pretty simple. Basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be watching the 9:30 opening range. So we wait for the first 5 minutes to close, right? So the first 5-minute candle basically is going to dictate the market movement for me. Usually that's the case. Okay, so if we get a bullish move on the 9:30 opening range, it usually means we get a bullish day, following that, right? And vice versa with the bearish. And so after the 5 minutes, the range paints, and we see what happens inside that range. We drop down to the M1 chart, and then we watch for price action candle confirmations at those zones that we talked about, right? Like the previous day's highs and lows and the order blocks and the imbalances. Okay, so a typical bullish entry confirmation, there's actually two scenarios that we'd be looking for. Okay, so one of them is, let's say that these lines here represent, like say Asia range highs and lows. Okay, if we were bullish, we would look for price to come down and say respect, the low of the range, and reject from this low and then come back up. Okay, so essentially something like that. So as price comes down into the Asia range low, watching to see if price will react to that Asia range low and then give us a bounce to the upside, right? The other scenario is if we're very bullish and we go through a level, like so on the chart example previous, we saw price go straight through the previous day high, right? And so if we do that, we see price break a level that usually would normally give us a resistance here, but price breaks through with authority, right? We see a very large kind of imbalance, a big push, right? A displacement. And then price comes back to retest and retrace to that area. Then we would look for a bullish confirmation here to look to go long and continue in the uptrend. Okay. And those would be our bullish entry confirmations. So obviously, if you can imagine, the bearish ones are going to be exactly the same, right? So for the bearish ones, we would expect price to come up and meet some sort of resistance like an Asia high or previous day high, right? And we may come up a little bit and sweep the liquidity before coming back down, right? But generally, we'd be looking for price to reject this area here and then look for a move back down once we hit our liquidity zones, right? And then similarly, when we have a very strong momentum, bearish momentum in the market, and we break a key level, so like a daily low or a weekly low, and we go straight through that level, okay, with force, with momentum, and we see that big displacement. When we come back to retest the level and come back to mitigate the area, the low that we broke through, then we would expect price to then give us a reaction and continue down with the downtrend. Okay, and that's basically it. And that's really how simple it is in terms of looking for the confirmations. Okay, and what you're looking for in terms of the setup, right? So now you may be asking yourself, like, how do I take the entry though? What are my confirmations after seeing the bounce or after seeing the reactions? How am I supposed to be getting into the trades? Well, what we do is we look for candle confirmations. Okay, and what that means is that we look for price action candles or candle formations to tell us when we would expect to get in the trade. So I'm not looking to get in the trade unless I see this kind of formation for a bullish entry and this kind of formation for a bearish entry. Okay, there's three different types. Okay, so basically the first one is going to be like a solid, like long-bodied bullish candle, right? Those are going to be the strongest confirmations you get because it's either going to be like a candle with a very small wick and a long body, or like an engulfing candle that engulfs previous candle before it. Okay, that's going to be the strongest confirmation. The next strongest is probably going to be this kind of pin bar, right? Because what that tells me is that price comes down to the level here, it rejects the level, so it tried to go lower, right? It rejects the level and it came right back up with a lot of strength, right? So kind of like a fast down, fast up movement, right? But in a pin bar formation, right? So that's going to be also a strong bullish confirmation. So when we hit a level and we get this kind of pin bar formation, that's a signal for me to get in long on the trade, right? And then the third type of confirmation is going to be like our classic railroad track, tweezer bottom setup, right? So we have price coming down to a level, right? And then coming right back up. Usually that's when we get like a stop hunt below the level. So we get a fast down, fast up, we get railroad tracks confirmation, bullish close, and then we look for price to continue up from there, right? So we can enter from there. The bearish candle confirmations are basically the same, right? But flipped. Okay, so like a big solid bearish candle with a long body with a small wick, right? Or an engulfing candle. We get a bearish pin bar, right? And the bearish close after we reject a level. And then we also have the railroad tracks as well, where we go fast up, fast down after stop hunting a level or rejecting a key resistance level. Okay. These are all on the 1 minute time frame or the 5 minute. It really depends on your preference because it can be either or, right? As long as it's a lower time frame confirmation, sometimes confirmations are clearer on the 5 minute than they are on the 1 minute, and sometimes they're clearer on the 1 minute than the 5 minute. So it just depends on the context, but it can be either 5 minute or 1 minute entries. Okay, trade management. So what happens after we get into the trade? What are we looking for in terms of a take profit target? So generally, what we'll be aiming for is a minimum of a 2R on the TP. All right. So basically, we're going to be targeting the next liquidity zone or the next key level, and that level must be at least a minimum of 2R. Okay, for me to take that trade. If it's not at least 2R, I'm not going to be entering that trade because there's just not enough, incentive there for me to take that trade. For a stop loss, what we're going to do is we're going to place the stop loss above or below the nearest swing. That's going to invalidate that setup. Okay. So for example, if we have price at a previous daily low, okay, just imagine there's a previous daily low line here, and price comes down to that level here and rejects from that previous daily low, and it forms railroad tracks, right? And so we enter on the bullish close of the railroad tracks, and my stop would go just below the swing low of that railroad track formation and just below the previous daily low, right? Because if we come back through that previous daily low, then it invalidates my setup, right? Because I'm expecting that area to hold. I'm expecting the stop hunt to have already happened there. And if price comes back into that zone, then that is going to mean one of two things. Either we go straight through and I hit my stop, or we will sit there and consolidate on that level for a long time and then probably eventually hit my stop, right? Either of those situations, I'm not going to be happy sitting in that trade. So my stop can be pretty tight and sitting just below that low, right? We're going to also be actively managing our trade when we're in the trade. Okay, so we're going to be looking to partial close, and we're also going to be setting our trade to break even when we hit potential, internal high targets. So we're going to partial close or BE at the next internal high or low when we get a liquidity sweep, on the next internal, say M1 structure or M5 structure. Okay, if we're targeting something on a higher time frame like a previous daily low that's farther away, right? As we take out internal structure, as we get down there, we're going to be looking to partial out as we do that, or at least, reducing our risk and setting our trades to break even as it moves its way down. Because with NASDAQ and with S&P, the volatility on those pairs can be quite big. So sometimes when we take just some sort of internal high or internal low, before we get to the big target, there can be a really large retracement, right? And you can find that sometimes you'll lose all of your profits just after taking an internal high when you're trying to reach for a previous daily high, and it does some wacky stuff in between before actually getting to your target, right? So you want to be making sure that you're always partialing out and taking some money off the table so that you're not left with nothing at the end of the day, right? Okay. Or what you can do is you can also set a trailing drawdown, right? So let's say, for example, the trade hits your 1-to-1. Okay. At that point, you can set the trade to break even and then maybe trail the drawdown on each of the candle lows as it goes up, right? Or on the highs as it goes down. And then that way you're always trailing yourself in profit as it goes. And then if it gets taken out in profit, then, then so be it. Okay. The key thing that I want you guys to take away from this is that, mitigating losses in the interest of capital preservation, right? That takes priority over everything when you're trading these prop firms, right? Because as I said, the rules that they impose on you are very strict. Okay. So that you want to make sure that you're always putting capital preservation first as a priority versus taking profits. Okay. Because the trailing drawdown will get you more often than not. And sometimes you won't even realize, that you have that, small of a buffer before you get taken out. So always, always, always look to mitigate losses early and look to preserve your capital. Okay. So now that this is kind of words on a screen, right? I'm going to show you some examples of, some actual trades. So let's take a closer look at, what these trade examples will look like, or some of the trades that I've taken over the last couple months. And show you exactly how these work out, okay? All right. So this is an example of a short entry on NQ. This was taken on the 12th of November, and the timing here is around the London close session. Okay, so you can see the red line here represents the entry. The buy stop here is a trailed stop in profit. So this is already after we're in profit. So basically, you can see here we have the Asia range low, right? And since we're short on this entry here, the order flow in this case on the higher time frame at the time was bearish, right? So we're looking to take trades that are short after we hit our key levels of liquidity. So the first trade that could have been taken was right over here. You can see the Asia range high, right? We got a nice big pin rejection from that Asia range high, and then we got this nice big bearish engulfing candle, right? So on the retracement here, coming back, forming that lower high, once we got a bearish candle here, there's potentially an entry that we could have taken right here, right? And then putting the stop just above that Asia range high, right? Because as I said, you don't want price to come back into this zone, right? If it comes back and breaks this high, then that means that this was not the stop hunt or the rejection that you were expecting it to be. Okay. The next trade, the trade that I took here was after we actually came down and broke through the Asia range low, right? So the next liquidity zone we had, aside from the Asia range high, is of course then the Asia range low. Once we break through the Asia range low, you can see we do that with a very large bearish candle. Okay. And then price moves away from that aggressively here, right? So we're seeing that displacement. We're seeing price move aggressively away from the zone. When price comes back into the zone here, that's when we took the re-entry. Okay. And so this candle close here, that's where we took the entry. Once it came down below, because we were already, very, very close to this low here, right? I set the stop to break even. And generally, these screenshots are taken after I've closed out at least 50%. Usually, it's about 80% of the contracts that are closed out, and then I leave the rest to run for the liquidity target below. So the buy limit down here is where we had the TP, right? So this you can see here potentially was a $4,500 trade, okay, on the contracts. But obviously, I've taken off some partials, right? So if I've secured at least 3,000 plus of that, and I let the rest run for the TP. Okay. All right. Next example I've got here. So this was also a short entry. Okay. This was on NQ. This was taken on the 20th of November. This was a New York Open trade. Okay. And so you can see here right at the 9:30 mark, you can see where I entered here on this short. So basically what happened is you can see here we have the Asia range low. Okay. And price reacted, or first price went through the low. Okay. So we saw price break the level, and then we saw price come back up through the level, but then we see price go back through again. So we have a close up and then a close down with a very large bearish candle. Okay. And that's basically what the confirmation was for me. Once I saw that bearish candle, the retracement coming back up is where I took the entry right here. Okay. And you can see the entry was this red line. My stop was just above that swing high, okay, and just above that Asia range low. Because once again, if we come back into that range, I'm not interested in this trade anymore, because we're likely going to see price just consolidate or maybe even go higher, right? But you can see here, once we got that confirmation and the move down, right, price basically just melted, right? And we just continued to go down. This was close to a $6,000 trade when I took off 80%. Okay. And this actually ran a lot further. It took out my TP and it continued to go further after that. So it was a very, very nice trade on that day. Okay. Next example here, we've got a buy entry long. Okay. And this was on the 22nd of November. This is London close. Okay. So between 11 and 1 o'clock, you can see here, we took it just about between about 11:45 or so. Okay. And you can see here the confirmation was the bounce off of the Asia range low. Okay, so if you take a look at, there's actually a couple different areas where we could have entered here on this trade when we reacted to the Asia range low. So you can see here the first one where we got the railroad tracks. Okay, another set of railroad tracks, and then yet another set of railroad tracks, and then finally we get this entry here. And so you could have taken it also on the bullish candle here, but I was able to get it right here on this bullish candle close. You can see here, this bullish candle closes and then that's where I entered the trade, the blue line. Okay, my stop goes just below the swing low. Okay, so it's a very tight stop in this case, and I'm targeting the previous day's highs, right? The first target of the internal high here, I'm taking off 80%, and that's where I took the screenshot. Okay, so this potentially was a $2,100 trade at the close, but I believe this did go on to go higher as well and take out this structure. I'm not sure if it took out the previous day high, but I'm pretty sure we did take out this structure. All right. And this was another long entry example. This was just recently, December 5th. Okay. And this is also in the London close times section, right? Basically, we came back into, again, the Asia range highs after breaking through, right? So you can see the Asia range high level was here. We broke through that level with force, right? That we had some nice displacement as we traded through that level. We got an imbalance as we did so. And then price came back to retest the level, right? So notice that right here, we came back and we came back through, right? So I didn't enter the trade over here because we didn't get that price action confirmation. It wasn't until price came back above, right, over here, we got this nice little a Morningstar 3 candle pattern here, right? We got a bearish candle. It's almost like a railroad track pattern here, right? We got a bullish candle here. When price came back and rejected the area, this low was all I needed to see price hold, right? So when we rejected the level here, we traded back and made this low. The bullish candle confirmation here is where, or at least I think coming back into this level here is where I took it. Seeing this low hold is what was the important thing for me, right? Because if this structure didn't hold, then I knew that we were just going to basically go down. So that's why my stop was here. Okay, we took the entry here, and then we can see here that price came back up, targeting the previous day high. This did eventually take out the high. Okay, but at the full position here would have been about $1,000 or about 1,100 or 1,200 to the TP. Right. And then the last confirmation or the last example I'm going to show you here is after I was funded with the 5 accounts. This was the first trade I took after getting funded. This was on the December the 9th, okay, which was an MNQ short entry at the New York Open. Okay, and this is MNQ because I switched over to trading the micro contracts. So all of the other examples you saw me take were on the NQ, which is, you know, me trading full contracts. But once I have the funded account, I'm trading basically a lot more conservatively, right? And so I'm lowering my risk. Okay, I'm trading less contracts. I'm trading micro contracts. And so if I can, take, just like I said, $200 to $400 per day, I'm happy with that, right? And so you can see here the trade actually was only about $350. But the confirmation was that we saw price come through the Asia range lows, right? You can see there with a big shift and a move down. And then right here, we can see price comes back through the level. I actually took the trade a little bit late because I came to the chart, I think it was a little bit late after the market opened. And so I didn't actually get it an entry until we got to about here. And so you can see after the big shift down below, price came back and retested, and then I took the entry there. And then this was the move down. And 350 was, was basically, I was just trying to get in and get out, right? So I was happy with that. I took that as my take profit, and I got out with the daily target. So I was just trying to basically get my daily target for the day, and that was me trading the PA accounts a little bit more conservatively, right? So this is, of course, now multiplied by 5. So it's actually 350 times 5, right? So it's not actually just 350. So if you have one account, it might seem like not a lot, but if you're able to stack the accounts and trade more, then, you can just trade and get $200, $400, and it'll multiply and stack up and add up pretty quickly. Okay, so did that look good to everyone? Does everyone feel like that was a strategy that was effective? So the question I'm going to pose to you guys right now is, would you like to learn, right? Would you like to learn how to catch these kinds of trades yourself? Do you feel like that strategy is easy to learn? Do you think? Would you feel like it is, an easy strategy to learn? Yes, right? Okay. So, basically what I'm going to be doing next year in 2025, okay? Because right now we are winding down the year, right? And it is close to the end of 2024. We're going to be going in our VIP group, we're going to be going on our winter break period, right? So generally, it seems easy until you're alone. Please hold us by the hand. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Okay, so we take a break period between now and the end of the year. Okay, but what I plan to do in 2025 is I'm going to be opening up a brand new VIP group. Okay, so this webinar, is a special invitation to you guys, right, to actually join the MindShift VIP group, the 2025 elite trading community that I'm going to be putting together. Okay. And so, this is basically, what you're going to get. Okay. Your exclusive access, okay, is daily live trading. So I'm going to be basically shortcutting your learning curve. Okay. You're going to be able to live trade with me every single day. You're going to be able to see my live entries, my exits, and my thought process behind every trade that I take. Right. So how would it be much easier for you? Like if you're struggling right now, if you're not finding consistency, right, and you're just, maybe you're there, maybe you just need a little bit of an extra push, right, or maybe you just need a little bit of hand holding, right? um, this is going to be how you do it, right? You can sit with me on the session. I can go through, the pre-market with you. I can go through the setups with you, and you're going to get live feedback from me in real time as I'm taking the trade, and also how I manage the trade. If a trade's going against me, right, you're not going to get that kind of insight if you're not there with me on the chart, right? If you're taking the trade by yourself, and the trade goes against you, maybe there's something you could have done to mitigate that loss, or maybe there's something you could have seen that maybe you would have seen by yourself, right? So this is a way for you guys to get inside my head and basically kind of trade the way I trade, right? And so it's not just me giving you signals and not just me telling you what to do, buy here, sell here, right? I'm actually giving you the thought process behind the trade and actually trying to teach you guys how to see the markets as I see it, right? And with this strategy, it's very, very easy, very simple. The rules are very simple to follow. Okay. And you guys should be able to catch on pretty quickly. You're also going to get access to the daily pre-market analysis, right? And trade ideas. So before the market opens, right, I also, I give a pre-market analysis of what I expect to happen. Okay, so I have my higher time frame bias already mapped out for you guys. I have my trade plan mapped out for you guys, and I tell you guys exactly what I'm looking for when the market opens. Okay, and then when we trade the market, from 9:30 to 11, obviously afterwards there's the London close session, right? And sometimes in the PM session, there are setups that also happen that don't happen in the morning session, right? And so there's a trade ideas section that I have that basically I outline if there are any PM session trades that I think are going to be setting up. I mark those out. Maybe I'll put in a little video and explaining what I'm expecting to happen, right? So that we're not there if we're not there on the live session looking at those trades. Okay. You're also going to get access to the new MindShift MasterClass 2.0 course. Okay, this is an all-new curriculum that I'm putting together, right, with complete video tutorials, of course. And everything is going to be focused on the futures trading, right? So it's going to have a section in there on futures trading. Basically what we're looking for, the strategy that I've outlined here for you guys today, a little bit more in depth, of course, right, with exactly how to take the entries and exits, the candle confirmations that we're looking for, and plenty of case studies and examples of trades that we've taken or are taking to show you exactly what it is that you're looking for and what confirmations you need to take, right? We're also going to be having weekly live training sessions every Saturday. Usually it's every Saturday. Sometimes it's on Sundays, but it's usually the weekend. And basically in those live training sessions, what I do is I do a live simulation of the market. And I basically go down through like a top-down analysis of, let's say we do NASDAQ, or let's say we do S&P, right? We just do a run through of the entire week and we plan out every single day how we could have traded it. And then we basically do a live simulation back test where we take trades, how we could have traded the market effectively. And so basically you're going to get my view and my analysis on an entire week's analysis, right? You get direct access to me as well. And any answers to any questions that you may have, you can ask in those classes. They're also recorded, right? Just like the live sessions are also recorded, okay? And everything else that we do, anything that's, tutorial lessons, classes, those get recorded and you'll get access to those recordings as well. So that brings me to the private Discord, right? So we are moving now from our Telegram group over to a private Discord community, right? So you're going to get access to, other like-minded traders like yourself, obviously, that are learning and trading together. Okay, you're also going to get access to all of the premium resources that I'm going to be putting in there, like the pre-market examples, like the trade ideas, right, and like the recordings of all the things that we're doing through the week, right? All the recordings of the live sessions and the classes. Okay, so you get access to all of that with the MindShift VIP 2025 Elite Trading Community, and that is my special invitation to you guys. So between now and the end of the year, right? Because we are going on our break inside of our VIP group, right? So I plan to roll this out for you guys in 2025. So in essence, this is really going to be like a pre-enrollment. Okay. So let me go through real quickly what we have in store for the MasterClass 2.0. Okay. Just so you guys know what the curriculum is. All right. So it's going to be based on the foundation, right? Which is the three pillars that we always have and we always will have, which is market structure, order flow, and liquidity. Without these three things, there's no strategy that you would trade that you will be profitable with if you do not understand how these work together. Okay. And of course, the next module is going to be the strategy itself. Okay. So I'm going to be going over, like I said, the rules of engagement, okay, the entries and the exits that we're going to be taking. And then we're also going to be going over trade management, okay, and the exact confirmations that you're going to be doing and how we would exit the trade, if we were to manage the trade actively, right? The next module is going to be a full module on futures trading. So we are basically moving from Forex to futures in this case, going to 2025. That is going to be my focus, right? Because I feel like this is going to be very easy to help you guys scale. And I feel like I'm going to be able to help a lot more of you with this method and the strategy because I already see the results and that I'm having myself and also with the people in the group right now that are trading this strategy as well. So that's going to be a big part of the new course is the move from Forex to futures. And then obviously we're going to be talking about how to get funded with these prop firms, right? The ones that I'm using right now. And then also how to scale your profits to 10K a month. Okay. Because I feel like 10K a month is just the baseline. The potential there is obviously the ceiling is unlimited. Okay. And it gets really to be like kind of pie in the sky numbers, but I feel it's very doable to do, 10K a month or even, something around that ballpark range where you guys are, at least financially comfortable. Right. So I have that as a vision for you guys next year. And with this new group, I think I can do that. Right. And that's going to be my goal. The next module we're going to be talking about is trade psychology. And I think that this is a topic that is not discussed as much, but it's something that is really important. Okay. Obviously, because if you are going to be trading professionally or trading for a living, and not just a side hobby or like a side gig, right? This is something that you really need to have under control. So trading mindset is going to be a topic in there that we're going to be talking about, and also trading as a business, right? Because there are some things that you need to be aware of if you are going to be trading as a business or as, professionally. Next, we're going to be talking about trade journaling. Okay. And this is something that, a lot of people probably aren't doing, but should be doing. But I'm going to be going over, what your journal should look like. So what kind of statistics that you should be tracking, what you should be keeping track of, what your journal should look like every day, basically. And I'm also going to provide you guys journal templates as to what that should look like so that you can just copy and paste and basically just start, tracking your statistics right away. All right. Hopefully that sounds good. That is going to be the basis of the new masterclass. That is obviously not finished yet. So I'm going to be having that completed hopefully in the next week or so. And that will be available for you guys for the pre-enrollment if you guys decide to jump on. I'm also going to give you a quick sneak peek here for what the Discord server looks like. So basically, this is kind of what you'd expect, right? So when you join the Discord, there's going to be a free section over here, okay? There's going to be the VIP section over here where you get access to all of the pre-market analysis, the live session recordings, strategy session recordings, and also the trade ideas channel over here. You also get access to the live trade rooms. This is where we would do the live trade rooms. So you can jump in on those sessions and jump in on the New York trade sessions with us. Right. So this is kind of just like a preview of what you would get while joining the Discord. All right. So the question that you posed to me is, how do I get access, right? So when I roll this out to you guys in 2025, or I plan to roll this out in January 2025, the pricing structure for this is going to be $149 a month, or it's going to be a yearly option of $14.98, or you can do a lifetime option, which is a one-time payment of $29.98. Okay, but because this is a special webinar class for you guys, and because this is a special pre-enrollment pricing deal for you guys, you don't have to pay this amount, right? The pre-enrollment price for new VIPs right now is going to be, you get access for $8.99 as a one-time payment. Okay. And that is a 70% off discount off of the lifetime, which I will roll out when we go into 2025. So between now and the end of the year, okay, this is going to be the special pricing that I offer. And this also can be split into two payments if you can't do the one payment right away. But I want you guys to know that this is not going to be ever offered again at this price. Okay. So between now and when I roll this out in 2025, right, this is the one-time special pricing that you're going to get, and you'll get access to everything inside. And all of the, if we ever do any updates, if we ever have any, special updates or anything like that gets added, you'll get access to those as well as a lifetime member, as all my lifetime members do. Okay. So if you guys are interested in jumping aboard, there's a link below, right? Or you can copy and paste this link here. But I will post that in the chat as well for you guys, and you guys can take advantage of that, right? So at this moment, I will actually open up the floor for some Q&A. If you guys have any questions on anything that I covered, in the presentation, you can ask me. It doesn't have to be related to this, the VIP. It could also be, related to the strategy, or it could also be related to anything in the markets. But the floor is open for you guys if you have any questions. So, you can either type in the chat, or you can open up your mic, whatever you choose.
How's it, Jeff?
Hey, what's up?
Good, and how are you?
Good, I'm good.
Good, good. I just wanted to ask you regarding your prop firms, the ones that you now, I don't know if I should say qualified for,
Uh-huh.
but now that you are handling with the prop firm that you suggested, is it different amounts on each one?
Different amounts. No, it's all 50Ks. So
It's all
I
50, it's 550Ks.
right. So a total of
Oh,
250K combined.
oh, okay, okay, okay. And then you just copy traded in all of them.
Right. So I've just done the first 5. So I'm doing it in batches, basically. The next 5 is coming. I have the next batch of 5 already trading. And then I will keep doing that up until I get to 20, which is the maximum.
Oh, which is the maximum.
Right.
Oh, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. And is it open? Is this that prop firm open to? Because with some prop firms, you can't be trading with it if you are not a U.S. citizen or something.
No, I think they're. I don't think they should have any restrictions. You can check on the website though. Like when you sign up for the website, you'll know right away if you try to sign up and it doesn't let you. But I'm pretty sure they don't have restrictions for if you're not a U.S. citizen, because they have traders from all over the world.
Oh, okay. No, thank you, thank you. And with your special, at least make it last until end of January.
I can
End
consider.
of January, February, because hey, our pockets are not that deep. Some of us, our countries, their currency is too heavy for our currency.
Right. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, there is a split pay option, but yeah, I can also it depends on when we get to the end of the year, and when we get closer to the deadline, I can see what about extending the deadline.
with my currency, that is a lot of money. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. No, thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Hello, Jim. So I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So if I pay like two payments, like $450 first time, and what is the second schedule to pay? Like how many time interval?
Oh, so it's going to be two payments, right? And it's going to be 30-day intervals. So whatever you pay, the day that you pay, it's going to be 30 days to the next payment.
Perfect, Jeff.
No problem.
Hi, Jeff. This is Janice. I have a question for you. Can you
Okay.
hear me okay?
Yeah. Hey, Janice.
Hey, I was trading Forex with you a while ago, and then life just got busy and stopped trading. Now I'm back.
Yeah, I remember.
Um, yeah, but I have been looking and reading more about futures trading, and I logged back into my account and I saw that you was about to start trading futures. So this definitely aligned with what I was thinking about going forward.
Yeah.
So what would I need to do in order to get access to the Discord and to get access to the Discord? Because I'm actually I have access to um I'm still receiving your market analysis and things like that, and I can still log into my account and see everything, but
Uh-huh.
I just don't have access to the Discord.
Okay. So why don't you can message me after this and then I'll get you squared away.
Okay, perfect. And then I'll also discuss with you about taking the class as well next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
Hey Jeff, this is James.
Hey, James.
When will the classes actually start?
So I'm scheduling because the holidays I know it gets a little bit busy, but by this week I'm going to be working on the uncompleted modules. Okay, so I want to have at least through the futures modules all done by the time we take our break, which is the 20th of December, right? That's going to be my goal. It might be a little bit later than that, but it might go into the break a little bit, but hopefully before the holidays so that you guys have time during the downtime if you're not trading to have something to study.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Now, also you said if you split the payments,
Yep.
so you say if you make the payments by somewhere around the end of the month for the first payment, then the next payment won't be until the end of January, but you'll still have access when you make that first payment. You'll still have access to the
Yes.
whatever trainings
Yes.
that you have.
Yep. You'll still have access to everything.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Great. Any other questions?
Yes, Jeff, last question from my side. So the tool
Sure.
we are using will be Trading View or MT4.
Yes. So you can trade TradingView. They have a platform that you link called Trade of 8. And then that platform you can link as a broker through TradingView. So if you're used to trading off TradingView, you can link it to TradingView and trade that. But if you're using the copy trader, so if you have more than one account and you're using the copy trader, you will have to use their in-house platform, which is that Trade of 8 platform to trade the copy trader.
Okay, got it. And the indicators, the like weekly high or low or daily high or low, the indicators will have to map manually or you will be providing.
Oh yeah, I can give you those indicators and obviously I'm giving you the full strategy as well. So you should be able to copy everything that I'm doing on my chart.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah, no problem.
Have a wonderful week.
You too.
Jeff, this is James again. I have one other question. Will you also be trading like cryptocurrencies?
No, I haven't touched cryptocurrencies as of yet. Although I've seen people using the strategy trading crypto as well. So it's not like anything with chart and a price this is going to work on. So it's not just limited to futures. But my focus is going to be on futures because that's what I'm currently trading. That's what's working.
Okay.
All right. Let me just see if there's any questions in the chat that I missed. Okay, James, I see your question. I think you can message me afterwards on that if you still have questions about that. All right, guys, any other questions before we call it a day?
No,
Okay.
I'm fine. I'm good from my side.
All right, so I'm going to leave you with this this quote here. Okay, so most traders
Thanks, Jeff.
struggle to find consistency and profitability not because they don't have the knowledge or the tools, but because they are just missing the guidance of someone who has gone through the same struggle and achieved what they're trying to accomplish. Right. So what that means is that if you look at the market right now and you look at what's on YouTube and what's available on, on online, basically, right? You have the knowledge available to you for free. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of videos that you can watch on all sorts of strategies that work. Okay. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to use them though, right? Applying the knowledge that you actually watch and applying it to the live charts, that's two different things. It's a whole different animal. So, this is a chance for you guys to get inside the mind of somebody that's doing it, right? And that's going to be able to help you, like I said, shortcut your learning curve. So, is there another question? Is somebody trying to say something?
No, this is James from Texas. I was just saying thank you for what you sent today on this video.
Mm-hmm.
Look forward to 2025.
Absolutely.
And please check your messages I sent you, and we can speak later. Thank you.
Okay. Great. So yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much it. All right. There will be a recording of this emailed out to you guys. Right. So for everyone that registered, obviously all of you guys here on the call, and for the people that left early, there will be a recording that will be sent out. Okay. And if you have any other questions, feel free to message me on Telegram or on hold on, let me see if I can. I'll put my Telegram link in the chat here.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Hi, quick thing. I just want to ask if ever are you still gonna do the market review for this upcoming week?
Yes, that will be
The
later
one that you
today.
normally share. Okay, no, thanks.
Yes. Sorry, you had a little bit of lag there. Okay, so I saw in the chat about the questions about the BTMM strategy. Am I still trading that, right? And so this is a question I get asked a lot because a lot of you guys have seen me, you guys know me as the BTMM trader from a while back. And while I started out as a pure BTMM trader, over the years, it's been, 6 years now since I've started MindShift. And it's been longer than that since I started trading. So it's evolved. My trading has evolved since the BTMM days. I still use some of the concepts from BTMM, but obviously you guys can see now that I use also other elements of smart money concepts that are prevalent in the market now. So it's really just a never-ending kind of learning process, right? And that's what you guys should all get from trading, is that there's no one style that's going to be the same or that's going to work for everyone, but it's about taking what you know and about what you learned and kind of molding it into your own style and your own kind of trading profile, right? And so over the years, I've picked up a lot of different things that have worked, and I've kind of molded them together. And this is kind of what this hybrid strategy is for me. Is just something that's been working really well, and something that I've simplified to where you're not looking at all these different other indicators and different concepts and all these different things that are kind of like swirling around on YouTube right now, right? So I've tried to simplify it as best I can, and I've tried to make it so that it's duplicatable to the next person as well, so that I can teach it to the next person and they can also have success with it, which is the goal, like I said, for 2025. All right. Okay. Awesome. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for the class today. Thank you all very much for coming out. I really appreciate those that took the time out to attend live. Like I said, there will be a recording that I will send out, and that will be by email. And if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact me.
Feel me.